We got to come up with another signal. He knows the signals now.
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
By our 1-year anniversary, he learned the signals.
It only
Joel
took
didn't shut the
56
door.
weeks.
When did we hit the 1-year anniversary?
Tonight's a 1-year anniversary. Right?
56 weeks?
Oh boy. Okay, so
Since that joke was brought in, or
the yoke.
the joke?
Oh,
At least that actually sounded like joke. Like
Yeah, right.
You said yoke, and he wasn't.
listen. Let me tell you, it's fun living in my head. It's a different place.
I couldn't disagree more.
That's fair. Do you?
I think it's just a place with a lot of confusion.
It's fair. Do you consider yourself yoke before you're born?
No.
I mean, you're basically like, if they cooked you, could they cook you sunny side up?
That the yolk does not become anything. The yolk is what they eat first.
Have you ever seen yolk
don't
get
really
eaten by anything other than a person, Tony?
Seen it? No,
See,
but that's
Tony's like, I'm done. Signing off.
Headphones
You realize,
on.
like, once a chicken or it's an egg's been fertilized, it becomes like a chicken fetus.
I've
right?
had fertilized chicken eggs before. They're delicious.
They're
You
chicken.
deep fry them.
Oh,
you
okay.
braise them.
So
They're
so
chicken
you're,
fetuses.
You're saying just like chicken thighs?
just chicken.
There's
just literally
this
chicken?
there's this episode of American Dad where they try to start their own. Like they're like, no, we can do it. We can make our own chicken farm. We can do homesteading. So like she bets her mom that she can do it and makes an own omelet with her own eggs. And at the end of the episode, she's like makes an omelet out of chicken fetuses, and it's really gross. Like as she's cracking open each egg, she's like chicken fetus.
Let me tell you,
chicken
when you
feet,
open
like,
an
they're
egg,
all
if you ever had
fetuses.
an egg, you crack it and it's bloody, it changes your view on the world. You're like, wow, this is actual animal.
I mean,
Have you ever done it?
No.
It's weird. It's different because you just don't expect it.
a bloody chicken egg?
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
like
yeah.
just
It's
sometimes
common,
there's just a little blood.
Yeah.
In there.
but they have a sensor to detect it and they throw them out. But,
Typically, you don't get them out of grocery eggs.
No, if you get them from somebody like
Yeah.
just with a
Which
Dude,
farm
the
eggs
farm.
are
That,
delicious.
that right
risk.
there is exactly why I will never eat like a farm fresh egg.
Farm fresh eggs
Fuck
are so
that.
good. They're
Nope.
so good.
The ones
Nope.
Mari got us were covered in chicken poop.
Hey, are we still black?
Dude, just absolutely
No.
not. Like,
Why?
just, because I look, man, they're because they're like $3 at the
We'll
store.
never get it right,
I'll
Brent,
just eat
so-
those.
I mean, that's
fine.
That's fair. I
What's
just
what?
there's no I don't see the downside to a farm fresh egg.
They're so good. They taste so much better. The yolk is like
I don't see how they could possibly just be better.
they
just because.
they just are, man. I don't know if like if you ever had like a strawberry out of the garden compared to like strawberries.
I'll give you that, but that's a fruit.
Yeah, but I guess it's like a similar concept, right? It's like just chicken fruit.
Yeah, I was about to say chickens are basically just bird fruit.
I can't do this.
Bird fruit.
Yeah, it's bird fruit.
Somebody make a shirt that just says bird fruit.
And then just has a
Please,
picture of an
Tony,
egg.
please make that mock-up. Bird fruit, the shirt.
So that's
What's
coming.
bird fruit?
So that's
Just
coming
have
before
I
the
want
Tim
block
socks.
letters. Bird fruit.
But what is bird fruit?
Chickens.
Chicken
Basically
eggs.
just birds.
Yeah,
Yeah, just-
Chicken are just bird fruit.
Chicken eggs are bird fruit.
We're not saying bird flu.
So specifically, chicken eggs are bird fruit.
No, Brad said
Like a blue-
chickens are basically bird
I mean,
fruit.
sure. Well, yeah.
The eggs are bird fruit.
I don't know, meat bird. They are
The
meat.
seeds on the inside of an egg,
Mm.
making it a fruit.
If you plant it, do you grow another chicken?
Have you ever tried? How do we know you can?
I don't know. Who came first, the chicken or the egg? Maybe it was the chicken.
Photosynthesis
The
came
chicken
first.
plant.
He says, "Damn, that's dumb."
Yeah, Brian, it's gonna be done when you come to my house and I got a bunch of chickens sprouting. Would they grow head first and they
No,
just be
but-
complaining and asking for food?
No, but when the sun comes up, they caw.
Nurgle Matt.
Real mad.
Or do they? Do chickens caw?
Are you hearing this conversation?
Or do they croon?
They what?
Neither.
Have you ever heard of bird fruit?
For the love of God, can we talk about anything related to games? Like
maybe not,
literally
man.
any topic.
Maybe we're trying to help people homestead here.
I'm not so sure.
by
that we are.
developing this is a homesteading podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now.
balk?
If you're thinking about homesteading, just don't do it. Just go to the store. Eggs
What
are,
if you
eggs
can't
are
go to the
$3.
store? That's the whole concept. Like, what if the stores are no more?
Then you go find a different store.
I'm talking like societal collapse. You're just gonna die.
There will always be another store. You just go to the store. I'm not
historically
seeing.
been
Yeah,
the
you know what they did in The Walking Dead? They just went to the store. Like I'm not
And stocked up
seeing
on
what the
chicken
problem
fruit?
is here. Get
what
off
would
of Chat GPT. That
No,
cannot
I-
be useful right
What?
now.
I'm asking at how many words are there in English for a bird like squawking? Because there's a lot. There's like
I'm gonna say
crooning,
10. I'm gonna say-
cawing,
Pruning? Pruning? I've never heard that.
I've heard crooning.
yeah, cawing, squawking,
Balking.
balking. Like there's a
Clucking.
lot. Clucking.
We're talking about just the different noises birds make. Because at this point, like clucking is a very specific
Well,
bird noise,
Yeah, sure.
and there's a rather few number of them that make it.
What animals hem and what animals haw?
Why do you
Ask
come
Chess.
here?
I was born here.
That's
I'm very tired, so things that.
How many words are there? Oh wait, no, that's not.
So
correct.
what would you do in a bug out situation? What like everything collapsed? What would you do personally?
I would open a store. Then
I'm not talking just about the store. Like cell phones are gone. What would you? No, I'm not talking like Walking Dead. I'm talking just like shit has hit the fan.
okay, like
EMP attack.
like-
There's
like-
no power.
like 99% of the population was Thanos snapped.
no.
Like, there's-
They're still there in the way.
That's probably much worse.
Much worse.
Much worse.
Much worse.
I would much prefer the Thanos snap situation. Ugh, I will be in a bunker. I have no such
what-
bunker.
That's what I'm asking. Like so. Oh, Brent said he'd. Be in a bunker.
I hope I die.
I guess I'll die.
Yeah, it's
Like-
that seems that at
I
that
don't-
point
I
it
Tony,
seems
what is
preferable.
it like? What percentage of the population? Like if the power grid goes down, like is it like 2 weeks that like a large percentage of
Yeah,
the
like
population
between
is dead?
30 and 40% or
Oh.
something like that.
Oh, an
Within 2
enormous,
weeks?
Are
Like
you,
right
are you
now,
just
it'd
talking
be way more.
You're just
in
talking
this
without
area.
power?
an enormous
Yeah.
number of people would die. Like
If it went
just-
out this weekend, like it'd be a lot here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, although our heat's gas, so like we don't need electricity to run our heat.
right, but
yeah,
how
you gotta
how
blow
long?
it into the house though.
How long
Huh?
can
you gotta
that?
heat it and blow it into the house though.
How long can that gas
Yeah,
be
I mean, that's
provided to
fair.
the house when like the facilities that provide it are not
No, that's fair.
do not have power?
That's fair.
Nathan would go outside. He wants you to let him in your bunker.
Remember me.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd be just if the power went out, we'd be fine.
For a while.
Yeah, we've got a lot of food. We've got
How-
plenty of water.
How many weeks of water do you think you have?
I don't know, maybe not 2 weeks, but we have other things too that we can drink. We have canned soda. We have water. We've got plenty of food.
Yeah, he's not
we
talking
have
about 2
so
weeks.
much food.
I'll tell you what I do have. I have guns.
I would probably take the food. I'd probably take the food because we got coolers too, and I got bags of ice in my deep freezer. So I'd probably take the bags of ice out of my deep freezer. Although maybe not. Yeah, I'd probably just leave everything in the deep freezer because the bags of ice will keep it cold. The deep freezer is sealed.
For a time, I suppose.
Yeah, but everything's frozen solid, so all that stuff, it will all help keep each other cool for even longer.
Yeah, but I
So-
mean, like, I think
We should all have guns.
I think you're looking at like days, not weeks.
I don't know.
Dude, I would say 3 days. Like, unless or even if that thing is airtight.
It's airtight.
I
Yeah,
think
but
everything hits
it's-
the fan way faster than we
it-
think.
Oh yeah,
It's
dude, I would
vacuum.
say 3 days
How
and
much
nothing
toilet
in there
paper
is
do you have
edible
stored up?
anymore.
We
You got more than 3 days.
we buy
Wait,
the
was
Shane
it?
You got more
bundle,
than 3
so we
days.
get like
Think so?
24 rolls at a time. We were not the people's worrying about toilet paper during COVID. That was not us.
We
What'd you say,
should all
Tony?
have guns.
You got more than 3 days with
You
stuff
are
in the deep
absolutely
freezer.
right.
yeah,
I
it's
mean, today you just put it outside.
it's at least a week, but yeah, with everything frozen. Not to mention the stuff that's in there frozen too. Not all of it's gonna go bad at the same
But
time.
Well,
yeah,
it depends
man,
how much you
So
open
I
it to.
can exactly. So I can cook the stuff that's gonna go bad first. I can cook that stuff first.
Right. But like I said, right, if it happened right now, you wouldn't have anything to worry about.
What do you mean?
Freezing stuff. You
Yeah,
just put
you
it
just
Oh,
outside.
put it
yeah, that's
outside.
true. I just put it outside
Yeah.
too, right?
No, but
So that's
you're
not
not.
even that big.
Most people aren't gonna have enough food, like
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I have
saved. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At their
yeah.
house.
we have we've probably got if I ate we could probably eat at the house right now. If we ate everything out of our fridge and freezer, we probably have 2 months of food stored.
2 months.
Yeah.
I would doubt that.
My
I
Do you,
bet
do you,
do you
mean-
know-
do you
know-
mean rationing?
no, not rationing. It's just stuff I have 2 full Christmas hams in my deep freezer.
Me too.
Do you know how big you've seen my deep freezer? Put these 2
I'm
tables
not allowed
together.
at your house anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
Have you met you?
It's so hot down
put
there.
these 2 tables together, like end to end. That's about how big my deep freezer is, and it sits. It might sit. I think it sits a little bit taller than this too. Like I've got like a 10-foot deep freezer.
That's a big deep freezer.
Yeah, like we have so much frickin' food. It's not even funny.
Eli, what would you do if shit hit the fan right now?
So we'd be fine.
You'd probably clean it up.
I don't know why you're like this.
I mean,
We're just
you
trying to
asked-
have a
You asked a
conversation.
literal question.
And then I have 2 big dogs, so like no one's breaking into my house without me knowing about it.
Listen, man,
You
the
gotta feed
ATF
those
has a
big
manual
dogs,
on
too.
how to
That's
take care
fair,
of those.
but I can feed those dogs ham.
It's a pretty short menu.
So if I run out of dog food, they'll
we're
just
talking like
eat.
if the grid went down.
And also,
like-
dogs don't need to eat nearly as much as you do. Like they can eat a lot less than you do.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, I might have to cut back when I'm feeding my dogs, but that just makes them more hungry and
Where would you
More
replenish
irritable.
your food? That's the problem.
I don't know how many times I have to say this. I would go to the store, like I'd go to the store.
I may literally just have to kill you
Yeah,
so that you don't.
Because everybody
ruin
else
it.
is going to go to the store too
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other thing.
before
That's-
you, and it's going to be empty fast.
That's that was COVID. COVID happened, and everyone went to the store too because for some reason they got worried about toilet paper.
How long? How much gas
Are
do
you
have,
telling
though,
me
Eli?
that
Like-
during the COVID lockdowns you didn't eat toilet paper?
I just don't. It still like befuddles me to this day.
There'll be no stores.
Listen, man, it's not like it's not a fun like thought process. We probably
No,
should all have
but-
like some type of plan, right?
I mean,
Like,
my house is well protected, and I already have lots of food. Like my
yeah,
biggest
but I
problem
think
would
you
be.
run out of food way faster than you think, though. Like
I think I have a month's worth of food stored.
I
at
have
my
a
house.
teenage boy in my house. You literally can't keep enough food to
I don't know if
sustain
I've ever seen
an
Eric
appetite
eat
like
anything.
that. Then you've never looked at him long enough.
Yeah,
The child devours
you
everything
can
in
eat
his
the
path.
child.
You could, but that would be frowned upon, and
Two
they probably
birds,
wouldn't let
one
you.
Well, it
stone,
wouldn't matter
dude.
because there's no society.
Yeah, but if people found out about it, they wouldn't let you back into the store.
I hate this. Dude, I'm realizing that Dakota's gonna be one of the first dead.
Yeah.
Because he's eating. Where's the store? I mean, it's it's kind of what it is. I mean, it's but like he said right now, you wouldn't have to worry about your food thawing or anything. The other thing right now you also wouldn't have to worry about is water.
The biggest
Because you could just go out. There's like snow all over the place. You just go outside, pick it up, throw it in a
The
pot.
biggest
and-
problems you would have.
melt it and
The biggest problems you'd have
sanitize
would
it.
be heat and
Yeah.
finding more food.
Right, it'd be heat, more
It's
food.
replenishing the food and water.
It's
That's gonna be an
it's
issue.
winter time, so yeah. That,
Yeah, for
that's
the next
gonna be your
month,
biggest
for the
problem.
next like
You can't
month
grow
or two,
anything.
water won't really be.
No
problem.
It's food.
Yeah, it's
Well, you're not gonna be able to properly. I guess you could like make a bonfire, but like, how are you gonna boil it?
I might be the best one in this scenario, because even if I run out of food, I have dogs. Like I could eat my dogs.
For a meal,
You can get a couple meals.
there's not
No,
that much meat on a dog.
Dude, his dogs are big though.
They're not
Like,
that big.
I got a
not that
90-pound
small.
dog and an 80-pound dog.
I don't know, man.
I could chop up the insides, put them in casings. I have hot dogs, dog hot dogs.
You don't
He
have
could
any of that
have
stuff.
hot dogs.
You don't have anything to make hot dogs.
All you need is
gotta-
I think all you need is a casing and a way to
Do you
vacuum
have?
seal 'em.
I'm just.
I have a vacuum sealer.
You need a meat stuffer.
Meat stuffer.
You can do it with a meat processor, but you're going to hate yourself.
Okay. I mean,
should
if I'm
all
eating
have
my
at least
dog,
3
I
months
already
worth
hate
of food.
myself.
Well, you're going to hate your
Should.
life.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize you might anyways, but
I mean that's worst
Look
case
up
scenario.
the FEMA
but-
guidelines, Tony. I'm
I
very
lack,
curious what the
I
FEMA
lack
guidelines
storage
are.
space for 3 months of food in my house.
We've got a lot of canned foods too. Like we. Have
I'm not
so many
opposed to
canned
just
foods.
buying the shit out of a bunch of canned food. Like, canned food lasts a long time.
You probably should have some.
I mean,
Honestly,
we have a good amount. Like,
a great rationing food is SpaghettiOs and meatballs.
yeah,
It's got protein.
Canned
the
meatballs.
Yeah,
the-
it's got
the
protein. It's got
Twinkies
carbs.
of the canned food world.
Yeah, it's got basically it's got protein. It's got carbs. It's got everything you'll need for energy. It's and it's
And then
not.
not to mention like how many bullets you have.
How many bullets?
I have
I
a
do
lot
not.
of-
I
have
will
a
say
lot
I
of
do not have
bullets.
enough, but I've got a good amount.
Well,
I've
sure.
got-
Like I mean, but if it's 100, right? Like, and you got your
think
gun
I've-
becomes worthless. It's a paperweight after you're out.
I have about.
bullets.
I think I
Yeah.
got about 1,000.
It becomes a pretty intimidating paperweight.
I've got several
I mean, sure,
thousand
like-
for each.
Most
Listen, I'm
guns.
not asking you guys to
Not each.
divulge your whole stash.
Most
what you
guns that
got,
are used
but-
in self defense aren't even.
Did you
fired.
hear me? Will you look up the FEMA
Yeah.
disaster guideline?
For what?
Just do they have a general one?
Did you know that, Tim?
What?
Most guns that are used in self defense aren't even fired.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
Like just the threat of it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason the ones that they are fired, it makes news, right?
Right,
It's like a
yeah.
plane crash.
Right. I saw a video the other day of these guys trying to rob a jeweler. The guy just pulled out a shotgun.
I saw that.
They
Yeah.
bolted. I think it was a shotgun.
I don't even think he had to shoot, did he?
No. That's
he
that's
wouldn't.
what reminded me of it. Yeah, and they just
They all
left.
got away, though.
Yeah, they did. And in a stolen car too. Like they
Yeah.
pulled up in a stolen. It's so stupid. Like my gosh.
Well, like the idea, like the sound like racking a shotgun.
Right.
Like
exactly.
you hear that, you're like, I don't need anything in
Everyone
this house.
knows what that sounds like.
There's nothing in this house that's more valuable than my life. So I will now exit.
People should think that. Yes.
I would not rely on that. The
No,
sound.
I'm
but-
not saying that, but like for most, if somebody goes through the sound of you racking around, they're definitely there to do you harm.
Oh, sure.
I gotta say that the sound of firing around is far more intimidating.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me you're like, listen, in college, I ended up in the wrong house before, okay? So, like, I've been in somebody else's house at night, and I was like, I shouldn't be here. Okay, the person that I was with didn't know they picked the wrong house.
Whoa.
I've told you that story, haven't I?
No. And you should stop talking.
We left immediately. I was like, is this your house? She was like, no. I was like, then we need to leave. It was next door, so they probably knew them, but, like, it's a weird thing, okay?
Like
Being in a
I
house
said,
you're not supposed to be in.
You talk yourself into the corner and you just stop.
I mean, that's what happened. That's what happened.
I don't know what you're looking for here.
Just
Did they have like
just to put a crumb.
did they have like an
out into the world.
infographic or something? A crumb of what?
Just
FEMA probably
just
not.
mentioning LVO is this week.
That's right.
We maybe touch on that a tad.
Well, what we should do is we should see what the viewers are, and then see what they are as we talk about it, and that will decide future conversations on this show.
Okay.
I don't know anything about the state of 40K at all.
Apparently, AdMech are very good.
Yeah, Grey Knight's just won something too.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't followed it at all. I haven't
Yeah.
played a game in a long
I don't
time.
really understand how, but Necrons are really far up there, and I just don't get it. I don't see it. The Codex was nothing but nerf upon nerf
From the
from the index. It's like
how do they do
it's
that?
like
They just-
nothing like okay, not nothing. Not very many things improved. So I don't get it.
Now, I didn't play a ton of pre-Codex Necrons, but I feel like the Warriors were the only thing that were like really problematic.
I'll
Like
agree that the Warriors
multiple
are
buffs
problematic.
you could put on. So
No,
many.
it was more than just warriors. It was a lot of it.
That's just the thing I remember.
Lich Guard were very powerful,
Lich Guard have always
and
been
then they
super good,
well
though, right?
sure, but they were still very powerful. And then you had like all of their shooting is very good. Like if you want nothing but strength 5, neg 3, neg 4, multiple damage shooting, they have it. Not strength 5, strength 10.
They don't
excuse me.
have. Or you're talking about Necrons?
Yeah.
They don't have that much multiple damage shooting.
I have.
Well, I'm
not
talking about
noticed
like the
that, Brent.
annihilation barges and
But
the
it doesn't surprise me.
destroyers and the there's like the heavy destroyer scarab walker and
I
all
know
that
they had
stuff.
scary shooting, but like it had a tendency to whiff too.
Well, sure. I mean, a lot of stuff, especially now, because a lot of that stuff.
Well, it was so
rolls, but
swinging
that
because like,
doesn't mean
it
it's
could destroy you totally, or it could do 2 damage.
sure. I mean, that's the case of a lot of the scary stuff. Even the Space Marine stuff is,
Well,
is scary. in that
most
regard.
of the like their big stuff was like flat damage, like flat 4,
Four
flat
damage.
3.
Flat 4 is very good, but like if you get 2 shots and miss one,
but
it's not
like
nearly
they
as
don't. They
scary.
just don't have. They just don't have volume of fire, like multiple damage shooting.
What happened in the chat? What did I miss? Oh, you
don't think
talking
there's a
about
whole lot
like
of that
killing
anymore.
people?
Yeah. Brent asked if you guys notice more and more products on the GW website say online.
I have not
only.
noticed
have
that,
not
but it
noticed
doesn't
either.
surprise me.
Yeah, I have not either. That's unfortunate. They're still struggling with their stock too on GW. It's a point of frustration for me because they come out with these new rules, and they create this demand for all this stuff, and then they don't have any supply for it, and it drives me nuts. So they create this scarcity, and then by the time you get your hands on it, the rules have changed, and now you just don't even want it anymore.
Did you see the
Drives me nuts.
the article today on Dark
Ravenwing?
Angels?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I read that. Yeah. Did you read it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I did.
What'd you think of the detachment rule?
I think it's pretty good.
I think it's good.
What is it?
It allows you to fall back.
It
and
allows
shoot?
you to fall back and advance and shoot.
and advance.
So
and
it's
shoot.
the salamander rule, but better. Because it basically gives you all assault except now you can also fall back and shoot as well. So that's the Raven Wing rule. And if you noticed, it doesn't only apply to Raven Wing stuff.
Yeah,
it's all your
it's
stuff.
everything.
It's all your stuff. So
Eli, what's your
a
YouTube channel?
very interesting kind of figure. I thought they were going to go with like a Raven Wing only type deal, but that doesn't seem to be the way they're moving. Kind of just like
Raven. Oh, yeah. No, they're not gonna be applying restrictions.
No. But I thought the buff would be Raven Wing only.
Oh yeah.
Not.
Yeah, no.
everything.
Because that's just another form of like. Oh well, then again, I mean, there's other detachments and books that are like, hey, only like you know
first company
the Necron
detachment.
ones.
The first company detachments like that. Only first company stuff gets the that old reroll back. So.
Old reroll?
Yeah, the reroll the wound rolls on Oath.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about from the Space Marine book.
Yeah.
Yeah, which actually, now that you mention that, it's kind of weird because like you could do with Terminators in that detachment.
Right, exactly. Vance and shit.
Also, they give Outriders battle line.
Oh, they do. I missed that part.
Yeah, they
that's kind of cool.
That detachment gives Outriders battle line, so you can
The
have
Raven Wing
yeah,
one does?
so you can have an entirely mounted.
Yeah. I mean, you could already do that. Basically mounted Outriders. The only thing it just allows you to bring more Outriders. Is all that means anymore.
Well, don't you have to have so many battle lines?
No, you don't have to have any battle line. None
I
whatsoever.
want it stacked. I want it bird, fruit.
Okay.
Bird on top, fruit on bottom.
Okay.
I want on a black shirt, just white text.
All right.
And I would like that for New Orleans.
He's basically just saying you're not doing this right, Tony.
Yeah, basically everything you did, like I want it different. Tony is he's a man of the people.
But yeah,
And we got to find a way to get him to New Orleans.
I'm excited to see what the
Hey, Tony, you want to go?
I'd like to.
Oh,
right.
Eli, you missed the bird fruit.
Come on.
You missed the bird fruit.
Yeah,
We're talking about chickens.
Look, no one gets it.
It's not a gettable thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Land Raiders are a perfect example of what I was talking about, dude. Like they have been out of stock since before 10th edition.
I still think we're going to get a new kit. I think that's part of the reason.
I don't know. I don't think so.
How can they not do a new Land Raider kit?
Probably because they're like, okay, everyone already has one, and too many people would just be like, I already have one, and just wouldn't get one.
Problem is, it's like archaic too. It just doesn't fit what they do now.
I don't
You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's true. Because there's a lot of stuff like
You'd have to change it in a way or add things to it, like adding new
If it's
gun
just a
options.
way better
look
kit,
at
don't you
the
think
look
some
at the
people would get it?
Terminators, man.
No, I get it, but like but the vehicle Land Raider still looks fine.
I don't disagree.
It is a good- it's still a good
the
kit.
Terminators sitting next to like newer
Yeah, they look
Primaris
dated.
Marines, they looked dated.
Yeah, they look.
But
The
like-
new Terminators are nice.
Yeah, but like if you set a repulsor next to a Land Raider, like it's not an eyesore
That's-
by
yeah.
comparison.
You can only box something so many ways, right?
Yeah.
That aesthetic is pretty. Although I think the
that's
Land Raider
true.
looks cooler than
I do too.
the Repulsor. I like the Gladiator a lot.
I don't like their hover tanks.
I don't like the Repulsor.
I like the.
the Executioner looks a little silly
Just
to me.
the sheer volume of guns is
Yeah.
over the top
Yeah.
Oh, on the repulsor.
on the repulsor.
It's
Absolutely.
like a meme, right?
Absolutely. Well, you saw what they did with their guns, right?
Yeah, I
In
saw.
10th, they
Yeah,
took.
they
it
just
had like
lump them into like,
yeah,
hey,
they
you've-
took 8 guns.
Yeah.
Didn't they have 9 strength?
It's
4
like
profiles
something,
before,
something like that. Yeah. I think it
repulsor,
was like,
fuck
yeah,
you
it was
array,
9.
fire like 9 bullets. Here you go.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
7 different profiles.
I think it was like you could do like 9, like you said, of just. But
Dude,
when
in
I was
tournament
making
play, you
lists
just
with it, I
wouldn't
was
shoot
just
'em.
it was just all. Well, I would just do all because you could change literally all of them to frag storm grenade launchers. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And then you just like, all right, I get 10d6 shots, and then just do
That's
that.
just all too much.
I don't
You
disagree.
know, like the Dorn has a lot of guns on it, but it just looks okay.
And it's not too many guns.
No, it doesn't feel like too many. Now,
Mm-hmm.
like the nipple melta guns, like there is a lot.
Yeah,
Right,
the
Sponson-
I've never understood the fascination with like, hey, this is a stationary mounted gun that like, hey, I really hope my target lines up with this gun
Right.
that does not pivot or is not aimable in any way.
Nipple melta.
Like just
It should just be stubbers. Like you shouldn't even be able to switch it because like it makes sense. Like that's like a World War II tank thing. You'd have those guys in the front.
right, but
manning a
you
forward
could it was
operating machine
maneuverable
gun.
in some fashion.
Well, it's supposed to
Like-
be on like a ball.
Yeah.
Like a ball turret.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the model is
It's a
maybe
ball
not. I'm
joint.
trying to go from memory, but
Yeah, it's like
It's just a barrel that sticks out and is just like
It-
I
it-
am a flat.
is there
it
not
can
a
move.
not a.
it can move. It moves around.
It may not physically
on
move, but
on the Dorn, I don't think so.
But I think the model looks like it would. It looks like it's on a ball joint.
I thought it was on a ball
It
and
may.
it moved.
because the one on the Knight that does.
Yeah.
That's like a ball type deal. But the one on the Dorn, I don't remember it looking like it
GW
moved.
also needs to get with the times and put interior sponsons like World War I tanks. So freaking cool.
Interiors.
You know what I
Get
mean?
Oh.
with the times,
And go back to World War One.
referring to the hover tanks.
No, big guns do win wars. I think that's why the turret is. I don't know. And then the double turret. Everything's got to have a double turret. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's just cool.
It's just 40K.
That's just cool.
Right? It's 40K.
Yeah.
How are Guard doing right now? Do you know?
They were not great.
Not great.
No, they had a 40% win rate. I
Oh,
think.
they've dropped as everything
They were,
else.
they were sec. I just saw something posted today.
They probably
Really?
don't match up well. if,
posted. Well, okay, so maybe it was posted from like the
An event.
the previous thing.
if
Yeah.
AdMech are doing well, they probably don't match up well with them.
AdMech were at 58%.
A win rate
Yeah.
total?
That's still not like it's not 75.
No,
No,
but
no.
You know, so like they
you
can
want.
still.
I
you
would
want-
rather have my spread be 58 to 40 instead of 64 to 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some Voton in the 30s for a while, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Nurgle was really bad. Like Death Guard was really bad.
And then the
too.
pendulum on Votan swung way the other way when they're like, okay, well, yeah, your rules aren't good, but if there's, 900 of you on the table, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's. Remember, Drukhari had that problem for a little while. They turned him into a horde army and they all had poison. Right, so you just had a bunch
Poison
of
and
Cabalites
dark lances, and you just be like, hey, I have 78 skimmers. What are you gonna do? You didn't bring enough bullets.
They
for
probably
this.
do need to blow up the points.
What do you mean blow them up?
Like probably like make it more granular. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's,
like making the scale like you play a 5,000 point game or something.
yeah, you've got to. I don't know.
It's kind of the same issue with the D6, right? Like you just don't have enough.
We're slowly moving back in the area of 8th edition, where you can. It's not as bad because of how the detachments and allies are structured, but it's getting back to the same area where you can bring literally whatever you want, and it just doesn't make for a healthy game. And that's the problem. That's just like how you were talking about, like how bikes could be battle lines. They're like, oh yeah, but you have to bring so many battle lines. Like, no, you don't. You don't have to bring any battle line at all. I think that's an issue. Like, there needs to be some sort of structure to your force organization. Otherwise, it fosters weird lists and weird gameplay. There needs to be some level of balance in terms of what not just in terms of points, but in terms of what the other person has, right? There needs to be there was nothing wrong with how force organization worked originally, and to blow that up and just completely get rid of the categories in themselves, I think it's pointless. I think it was a change just for the sake of change. That's never a good idea. The game just lacks structure, and I think that's where I'm at right now.
Well, they definitely have quadrupled down on it. They have not gone more restrictive.
I think
for 6 years.
It's a mistake.
No,
Yeah.
hell, it's coming up on longer than that. Right?
Well, they went more. Well, they blew it up in 8th edition, and then in 9th edition they got more restrictive,
and then at the end though, they were like,
and then 8th.
here's this detachment where you bring however.
Right, but even that detachment was more restrictive than 8th edition.
Well, sure, but now they've
Right,
shackled
and
everything.
now we're moving back towards 8th. It's not as bad as 8th edition, but we're moving back into that direction. And I'm just not a fan. I liked how the detachment worked at the end of 9th. I thought that was fine for the most part. But there needs to be some compulsory stuff that you have to bring for every list. It just has to be that way.
I'm not opposed to that.
It just has to be that way. You can't give everyone free. You can't make everything an unbound list with a character.
I think they had some things right in 7th where, like,
yeah.
I just don't think you can make this game. I don't think you can put it in a box.
What do you mean?
I think it's just too unwieldy. It's gotten to the point where it's just. I think the idea of like making a tournament balance game out of 40K, I don't think that it's possible.
Well, you can do it to a certain extent, and to their credit, they did it in 9th. 9th edition was probably the most balanced edition we've had.
I don't know, man. It was pretty skewed towards certain builds.
Well, maybe
like anything with durability was like far outweighed.
Well, sure, it was skewed towards certain builds, but most every faction had a place to set, and even in that
one
case,
HQ done.
And even in that case, that's not even entirely true because Dark Eldar were incredibly powerful for most of the edition, and they're not durable.
No, but they were cheap enough, right? You could
Well,
get
sure,
enough
but
on,
that completely goes opposite to
thing
being
is
they
durable.
also just killed everything, didn't they?
Yeah, they were a glass cannon.
You just swing a
but-
unit onto an objective, take it from your opponent, and then you scored. Like that
Absolutely
was,
downvote
that
9th
was
Army
what it was.
secondaries.
Yeah,
It's a fun concept, but there's no way GW can't keep those genies in the bottle. Same thing with stratagems. They were
Secondaries.
never going to keep them balanced against each other.
Well, when it comes to scoring actual victory points, they shouldn't be based on army. Now, I get it. That's a holdover from 7th edition, because 7th edition, when it came to TAC objectives, there were a few TAC objectives that were army specific.
I still say TAC objectives were some of the most fun games I ever played.
But, well, yeah,
They just were.
I
You know,
agree.
like,
Most
and they-
7th edition games we played were TAC objectives. But
I
yeah.
like the new cards they have, though.
I do too.
And I like the not open war cards. You know what I'm talking about. Tempest of war cards.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the same
I
thing.
like those.
I like them.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's fantastic. Have they announced chapter approved yet? By the way,
I don't think so.
that's an issue.
What's an issue?
No chapter approved yet?
Well, it's only been 6 months.
I understand, but we need.
It'll probably be this summer.
I would hope so.
There's no like book anymore, right? It's all digital.
Right, but there'll be new cards.
But we need.
The cards will be the
okay.
chapter approved.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean.
The points are free.
Soon.
Right.
Trademark.
But we need updated objectives. Is what I'm saying.
Well, what are they going to announce tomorrow night? By the way, I heard somebody. Now, might have got this from Ted, so you never know. Although Ted did say they were bringing 30K AdMech, and they've slowly brought some stuff over from 30K, right? Or is it just all new?
I don't
AdMech?
think AdMech has gotten anything.
Well, they've gotten different stuff. They got Stilt Boy.
No. I'm talking from 30K.
Oh, okay.
Like, because there's
Maybe
some models
maybe
in
you
there
saying
that are,
Custodes.
You might
Because they did get those tanks that you could.
a balanced
Yeah.
data slate.
So what are we getting tomorrow
yeah,
night, Matt?
Battle data slate or balanced data slate that'll come after LVO,
Oh, yeah.
and we see the results of that because they always react to like the crazy stuff.
Yeah, the standings.
Was
in the
it
LVO.
was it 8th edition that had like the stupid Leviathan
Yep.
list?
That was
God,
the 9
awful.
fire-
the
And a bunch of
And
spores.
that too, yeah.
I think he's talking
Or
about
what
the
are you talking
dreadnoughts.
The Dreadnought Leviathan list
Yeah.
for Iron Hands and like just the nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, LVO won it. That's what Brad Chester lost to.
Yep.
God.
Yep.
Bunch of
He
shit.
did like 30 mortals to
I'm
a
talking eight.
Leviathan and was able to pass it off to nearby intercessors. I don't remember what interaction
Yeah.
that was. And GW was like, apparently they were by the table like, what? How did that get into our game?
Yeah.
That
No,
was the year that whole team brought the same identical list.
Yes. Because like nothing can beat it
Yeah. No,
except itself.
I'm a little upset with 10th edition right now.
But thanks, Matt. I go, what are we getting tomorrow?
Don't
Bunch of
quite
shit.
like how they did it. I was hoping for a simplification, but not in necessarily in the way of rules. I was
For
hoping,
what? What are you
for
talking
40K. Like we needed to go back to basics, and they blew up the basics.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Like specific. I'm not.
Yeah. So for instance, like we needed like universal special rules, right? You go back to universal special rules.
Oh, right.
And that's what they teased that they were going back to, but they didn't really.
They didn't go all the way.
They didn't really. There's like 8 of them. You know what I mean? But there's a bunch of rules. There's a bunch of abilities on data slates across factions that are all the same. That literally could just be a universal special rule. That's one of my problems with it.
I agree.
It's like this just needs to be a thing. Like I get you made Deep Strike a special rule that everyone has because that's what we call it all. But now what are you doing with the new OBSEC rule, right? Like there's a bunch of different armies with that iteration, and it's all called something different, and it's so we didn't quite get that. They
That's the thing too, and like, why are they named different things? Like, just call it objective secured.
Yeah, and then
like it doesn't. You don't have to give like a different army a different thing that's like objective
capture,
fastened.
or chaos plague or something. Just call it a rule, something that we can all recognize, no matter what faction you play, and then that explains what it does.
I mean, hell, you could also leave it on the data slate if you want to.
You could.
Use up the space on there. That's fine.
You could. I would be okay. I think that's one of the things 7th edition did right, is that there was almost no rules, aside from, obviously, formations and formation detachments. There was no rules that were unique to armies specifically, aside from only a couple come to mind.
Formations is what broke 7th edition.
Yeah.
If you if you played 7th edition with just data slates,
but I think
it's a much closer to
but
balanced game.
I think it depends on the ones you're talking about.
If they had just updated
I mean, you're right, but that's exactly the problem.
Space Marines, Necrons.
The guard formation almost broke the game.
Tau. I'm not even 100% convinced Tau. Their formation detachment wasn't that bad. So formations, so it was like Space Marines, Necron.
Tau had Buffmander, didn't they? Wasn't that 7th edition?
Yeah, but that wasn't an issue with the with necessarily.
I remember watching
formation
a Wargaming battle report where Steve was playing Eldar and he was terrified of Tau across the table.
Mm-hmm.
He hid his whole army, including 2 Wraith Knights, behind one building. Mm-hmm. He's like, if they see me, everything's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But here's like the ultimate problem. Is that when you they can't balance things like this. They can't balance formations. They can't balance stratagems. They can't balance attachments. So what's wrong with playing a game where it's literally you're just making a combined arms detachment and you're just playing with the models?
Well, that's kind of my point. Is you can
you can
go that route.
Beyond that.
The only thing is. Depending on the situation, you're gonna have armies that have inherent advantages either way, which is what I think they're originally trying to avoid at the start of 7th edition, because every army had their own CAD in their codex before we went to formation detachments. Because it's been so long, I don't really have any good examples.
Young Tim used to be very excited about the formation detachments that were coming out. I like to look at them and try to build different ideas.
They're at the very least very interesting. And complex, which is cool. There are some armies that do better within a CAD, though, is kind of what I'm talking about. So CAD necessarily doesn't fix the issues either, because they're even in a basic combined arms detachment, some armies work better in a combined arms detachment than other ones.
Okay.
So that's kind of why you don't just want that
I think that goes back to what I was saying.
All.
You're never gonna get this Leviathan back in the box.
I think you can do what they were doing at the start of 7th edition, where you come out with a detachment,
specific detachment.
Yeah, kind of like a CAD.
I mean,
that was kind of.
Isn't that what the detachments nowadays are supposed to be?
No, not at all.
Well, I mean, they don't have the unit restrictions necessarily, but they have the unit abilities.
Yeah, but even
they're still funneling you. They're just funneling you in a different way, right? Like now they're giving you incentives.
No.
Aren't they incentivizing?
No.
Units?
Do you know what the Ravenwing detachment rule is?
Well, I know that you get Outrider.
Sure.
Battle line.
Yeah.
Right, so they're kind of pushing you towards that.
But that doesn't.
That's literally just for flavor.
But that doesn't do anything. The only thing that does.
It can let you load up the table with Outriders.
Sure, but they're not good. My point is the detachment rule is all Adeptus Astartes units, all of them can fall back, advance, and shoot.
So the whole your army,
The
and that
whole
detachment-
army that's a
Right.
Raven Wing detachment gets that ability, and it's silly. Now there's probably
Well,
some stratagems
so-
and relics in there that are only for mounted
the
units.
thing
but
the thing though is like
It's-
who does that naturally benefit the most? It's going to be your speeders and your bikes.
sure.
Like a squad of intercessors will not benefit from that in the same way as
I
everything
actually
else
like
you
that
get.
better instead of because like now you can be like, okay, I want to play these models in this army, right? It's not like
Yeah, but there needs to be some structure.
I'm not
That-
saying there shouldn't be structure, but I
that's
don't
the
like
problem.
when there's no incentive to ever. I always think of the Imperial Fist bikes, right? Because I own Imperial Fist bikes. There's never been any reason to run
Yeah,
Imperial Fist bikes.
I get it.
Or
but
like a White Scar tank. Those are the things I always think of. Like, you see them painted in the books. You see White Scar Land Raiders and stuff, and you're like, those look cool. But why would you ever do it in a game? Because the rules have never benefited it. You know what I'm
well,
saying? So I'm okay with that rule benefiting
always,
your army.
It's always down to opportunity cost, is what it is. You're typically better off running tanks, or not necessarily as
well, it's more
Imperial
than that because
Fist,
they're just objectively worse because they don't have the layer of rules.
well, yeah, exactly.
So whereas
They're-
this new rule, everything gets it, even if it is.
well, you've got to
Rhino.
but you've got to pick between one or the other, and the other one's better. Yeah.
Right, but they're still getting the same rule. So now you're.
What do you mean
judged-
they're still getting the same
So
rule?
they're damn it, what's the Ravenwing rule?
Yeah.
Your rhinos are getting that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? You know what I mean? But now you're not taking a rhino for another reason other than it doesn't have an army rule.
Yeah, but
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
I understand what you're saying, but like if you're gonna have a rule for like a Raven Wing detachment and have a cool fluffy rule, then it should be focused around that. It shouldn't just be another Space Marine list that has some.
I don't
has
see how
some
this
thing, but-
isn't focused around that because it's something that sure it benefits.
I think that hits the mark perfectly.
it benefits everything, but the things that get the most bang for the buck are your fastest things.
The things that make the most sense.
Your speeders and your
narratively
bikes.
anyway.
Because they're
Maybe.
going to move, advance, so they're moving a very long distance, and then they get to shoot still.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but there are other armies with similar rules. For instance, Salamander.
Well, that doesn't matter. I don't
So
care what other
it's-
armies are getting. I care about this army and what it's getting. And this is a rule that
I understand, but it doesn't necessarily benefit them the best.
So what are you saying then? Like, what would you?
I just want to see the game with more structure. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Is
What's it
I'm-
have to do with like the rules we're talking about?
I would like to see more specifically tailored rules to certain things.
Like,
I
can you
don't-
give an example? I
don't want to see army wide rules just for the hell of it.
Oh, I think that's better to have the army.
they're probably doing it for simplicity more than. For the
I
hell
like
of
it honestly. If they
but
just
I don't
said-
think simple's always
Well,
better.
so-
though.
well, so
We've
that
been
way-
moving simpler, but like the game has the game gotten better. I don't know.
Right, but
Well, there's more
but this
complexity
way
in
you're
ways.
not feeling punished because you brought a unit of Devastators.
That's what I've always
Yeah.
But you're not.
disliked.
There's a lot of specific rules that they're not going to benefit those kind of models anyway. This isn't going to benefit Devastators in any sort of way anyway.
I mean, if
But
if
it
they
doesn't
get
dissuade you from
tagged,
taking them
if they
either.
get tagged, you absolutely would.
It kind of does in a certain
If you
way.
brought Predators, you could just fall back and shoot.
Yeah, sure. I
mean,
I understand, but like once again, we're talking about structuring an army, right?
sure.
Yeah, so if we're theming armies around specific things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like a Raven Wing detachment, it should fit within those themes.
Sure.
Like so,
I guess that's what I'm saying. How does it not though?
well, in
It
this
kinda
case,
does. It just
in this
also-
case, a Predator is not part of the Raven Wing company. It's not part of the second company.
They don't have them at all.
No,
Nowhere in the.
no, not in the second company.
I mean, this may. Wait,
So it doesn't make any thematic sense, and structurally it doesn't do anything to structure the game either. There's no in other words, it doesn't really incentivize you to bring the faster stuff. You might think it benefits the stuff. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We don't really know, but there's no structure there. Now, if they tailored the rules specifically around those things, then yeah. It definitely would.
So
but that's not what they
think
do.
they should just have a list of 4 or 5 units that get rules?
Not necessarily 4 or 5,
Well, whatever.
but
If
I
it's
think
8, whatever the number.
I think
is.
it should be. I think it should be thematic. I think that's what it should be.
And I don't like when things are. You're like you'll never bring these other things.
But you could just in a different detachment. I don't see.
I also don't like
I don't see it.
multiple
You
detachments.
should
I
only
don't-
ever be able to bring one detachment.
Yeah, I don't
That's
like
the
that mixing and
like,
matching.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying. I'm not saying you should
Well,
bring
that's
multiple.
what you can do though, right?
Oh,
I have no idea.
He's talking about like, well, if you're going to bring them, then you play a completely different army.
Well,
and
or a different detachment. You're talking
Right,
about
but that's-
Dark Angels who have access to. It's going to be like 9 detachments.
right, but like, right, but,
See, and I
but
don't
you're
think
saying
that's a
like,
good thing either.
I don't either.
I don't think.
I don't either. Structure is what you want, not unlimited wackiness that you can jumble units into any which way. That doesn't do anything good for your game. It might help sell models, but that's the only thing. That's it.
I
Like,
would
it's-
prefer if there was just like an army rule, you know, and if maybe it doesn't cover everything perfectly and just everything benefits from it, and then every army has one.
I want structure. That's what I want.
Well, why is that not structured? I mean, why?
I'm not-
Those don't have to be antithetical.
No, I'm not saying that they are. I'm just saying that's all I want. It's just I want more structure to the game. I don't care if it comes via an army rule. I don't care if it comes via stratagems. I don't care where it comes from. I want the game to be structured better. I want it to have less chaos. I want there to be.
But chaos is kind of the
I
name
love
of 40K,
chaos,
right?
but
No, but 40K is supposed to be chaotic, isn't it? Like,
not in terms of like building a list. I don't think like building a list should have some sort of like. I want to see.
really-
I want to see Marines.
well, that's
and-
what these detachments do. They make you focus. That's entirely what they do.
Yeah, but hard in one direction. Like
That's
the,
that is structure.
That's literally what you're asking.
No. I don't want to see. I want to see. So, for instance, I want to see a variety of models on the table. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see. I don't want to see 3 repulsors and 3 gladiators and 3 redemptors and all that stuff.
But the optimal way to build your list is to like find 3 powerful units, put those 3 in the list, and then build around those.
That's why the rule of 3 was never the right fix, because it only curtails the problem. It doesn't
I
fix the
agree.
problem.
I don't know about that.
I
I'm talking
agree.
the
It doesn't.
I'm talking the arbitrary nature of it.
I
but like
agree.
rule of 2, it doesn't fix the problem. You're still going to have 2 of the good units that you can. If it was 4, you'd have 4 of them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I'm just talking the arbitrary nature of it. Not the merits of it, not if it helped. Just
I agree. That was their attempt at structure. We're only going to allow you to bring 3 of the same units. That way, but it wasn't enough. It doesn't provide enough structure for you to play the game. That's why it is. So I don't know. I think it's too simplistic. I would like to see a more complex way of organizing everything.
Well, what would you do?
Well, first of all, I'd bring back force organization. Right, getting rid of that was just silly. There was no reason to get rid of it.
A CAD isn't complex. That's not complex.
It's more complex than character, battle line, and I don't even know what the third category is called. What's it called?
Now it's just character.
There isn't.
It's not even battle line.
It's just
anymore, is it?
no. There's battle line,
Character.
HQ, and other.
I think it's called character, but regardless,
Character HQ.
Yeah,
whatever
it's not
it is.
HQ. It is character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
character. And
So
it's just character,
Yeah,
character,
and-
battle
and-
line, and other.
and-
Because you're not.
and
You
other.
can bring 6 of a battle line.
Right. Exactly, because that's just another arbitrary decision. But yeah, at some poor excuse for structure, no one's bringing 6 of any battle line. I don't think. First of all, I don't think it's getting close. But
No, the way the points are, like
You
would
can't.
think guard, but no,
Not even.
All
But-
their units are their battle line are very expensive.
yeah, so it's so you're not even getting that close. Anyway.
I think 10
It's-
shoehorns you into builds much more than 9th did, and I don't really like that. You know what I mean? Like you basically start the list. You're like, okay, so I got to have.
Well, every army has a.
it's also a Hero Hammer edition, so like.
Oh, it's not a Hero Hammer edition, not at all.
Well, you got to have the name character.
It's less Hero Hammer, I think, than ever.
I don't know, man. You can't make a legitimate guard list without Leontis.
Well, sure.
You just can't.
Sure, I don't necessarily.
It's almost like not even fun to try because you're like, man, I just can't do anything. You know, because orders are so important to guard.
Yeah.
And like you just can't get the orders you need
Well,
without
other
Leontis.
characters should just be able to do what he does, but he gets to do other stuff. And
Yeah, it's him being able to order vehicles.
Yeah, there's a lot of different. Yeah, there's a lot of different.
Yeah, and that's very frustrating.
But yeah, in Guard's case, maybe you need all your named characters. But in terms of like Chaos and Marines and stuff, they really nerfed most, if not all, of your characters. They all have gotten significantly worse going from 9th into 10th.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Like, you can't make them nearly as powerful
that's
interesting.
More of a, I think that's
They
more
don't-
of a guard problem.
Yeah,
That could
yeah.
Or,
So, and
honestly,
Space Marines are the same way.
That's a Leontis problem.
Well,
Is
Creed
that,
is
like,
pretty.
is that everyone should just be able to do what he does? Why can't other things order vehicles? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
It doesn't
I
make any
agree.
sense at all.
Different set of orders. I have no idea.
I just,
But
I don't know.
that would be another great example of being able to create a different structure around stuff instead of just having this one guy who can order vehicles, him and tank commanders. You could have some added structure there where you have some other guys on foot who can just order
Of course, a good
vehicles, or and some guys who can just order infantry. Like, you could, there's some things you can play with there, but they don't.
It should just be senior officers can order anybody.
Or that, I mean, that
That's
too.
what,
But
that's what it should be.
What I'm saying is, you have an option there. You have an opportunity there to create interesting, to create a play dynamic by having people bring certain things that change that change the structure and how things kind of work, but they just don't do it. They just like, all right, we'll just make Leontis, he can do everything, and then that's it. And then we'll just have this one guys over here that can do this, and these other guys over here, they can do this, and that's going to be it. And it's
List building is just, very different. In
It's
10th.
yeah, and
it is very
because
different.
I've got similar problems too when I'm making a Space Marine list. I'm looking at my list and I'm like, well, if I don't run 3 Redemptors, what am I even doing? You know, and it's dumb. There should be some detachments where you're like, I want to run 3 Redemptors. There should be other detachments where like, I want to run 9 land speeders and
I think
9
I
bikes.
think that is a thing. Like,
It's not.
The Necron detachments are all wildly different from one another.
The Space Marine ones are too, but there's only 2 that are worth taking, really,
And
if you're
see,
playing
that's-
competitively.
That's a GW problem.
and that is-
everything.
I understand that, but both of them play incredibly similarly.
See, Brent, I don't think they have enough writers. I think they have like 2 or 3 guys that originate the codexes, and then like at one point I think it was 2 guys because they wrote all the battle tomes for Sigmar and the 40K stuff, and there was one guy had a certain. If you got a book from him, you were going to get a certain number of traits. Mm-hmm. You know, it was going to fit this kind of mold, and then the other guy was totally different.
I think that's. I don't think it's a number. I don't think it's a specific number of writers. I think it's design philosophy. I think that's.
But I think that's only the case because it's 2 guys. I think it's incredibly limited.
Maybe I would much rather see consistent design philosophy across the game than wild differences in terms of design between books.
Yeah,
Because that's
design-
that's another thing that's going to create imbalances is like these way.
I go back to I don't think you can balance it. I think that's a fallacy.
I think
that
you
we're
definitely
chasing
can.
for-
I
Well,
think you
oh,
definitely
okay, so-
can, but
So a game the size and scope of 40K, I mean, balance is looking at everything and it's all 50% win rate, right?
Well, I
And
think
again-
it.
Well, 45 to
okay,
50,
let
right,
be honest. Like, you're never going to hit that.
No.
Right, but like if you're 55 to 45, I think that is a healthy, happy game.
So long as it's balanced across the board, right? So you have one faction that's 55, you have one faction 45, you have another faction that's 54, you have another one that's 46, right? It is a balancing act. You can pull that off. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, but if you get things within
They've
within
been pretty
5%,
close to that for a while.
Yeah, exactly. If you get things within 5% of 50,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's
but
pretty good.
It just
I'm not gonna complain
It
about
seems
that.
very, very easy to just look at the things that are like, okay, you're 40%, you're 60%. Take some away, add a little here. Like and then bring it back toward the middle. And
I
the
wouldn't
thing is,
even-
they take too many steps to
Mm-hmm.
to like, oh well, this faction is doing really, really good, and they hit them,
Mm-hmm.
and like they're gonna like we're nerfing these 14 things. It's like, all right, well
Mm-hmm.
now your win rate's 43, and you were doing 62
And
last.
very
That's-
rarely
that's-
they go back and fix it.
That's-
Like,
that's
they put them down. They
problem.
don't ever go pick them up again.
That is a huge problem in and of itself because it's so. First of all, it's heavy-handed, but they take too many steps before seeing what the results
Sounds
of
like
it
Grey
is.
Hunter.
So if you're gonna fix a game like Warhammer, first of all, out of the gate, everything has to be fairly balanced. So you probably have to look at about an 80%. Like you want 80% of things to be good. You don't want to have to change it, and that might be too little. You might want more, and then you go in and change stuff. But every other change you make after that, it needs to be incremental.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't
You need to do incremental change.
make multiple changes. First of all, if you have an army that's 55, or if you have an army that's 63, an army that's 39, change one of those. Change one of those books, because one of those books might be directly affecting the other book. Your 39% Death Guard win rate might be 39% because they're playing against Eldar players and are just getting smashed every time. So you nerf Eldar, and Death Guard's win rate will just go up because Eldar are losing more games.
I
Like,
think
you don't even need to.
Another problem is like they're
it's-
working
it's
on a
insane.
flood data set, right? They're looking at big tournaments.
Sure.
Where a large portion of the tournament is casual people. You know what I mean?
Well,
so like,
right, but like,
Well,
I think that all plays into it too, right? Where you're getting most of your numbers from casual players.
Yeah.
So that's the numbers you're going to be looking at anyway.
But they're casual, but they're still there to win and play, right?
yeah, but they're not. If there's a 5-round tournament, most of them aren't there to go 4-1.
Well, no, I don't think
most
half
of
of them
man,
are there.
if I go 3-2, I'd be happy.
I don't think half of them there to go 4-1, but
Well, they
they're-
literally can't.
Yeah, right. but they're definitely not there to lose.
Well, no, but I don't think their goal is to even try to get to 4-1. I think they're there to play
Probably
5
not.
games and have fun.
Yeah, I don't agree, but once
so
again,
like
they're
when you're using that to drive your game, you know what I mean? I just think that you're put 24 of the world's best players in a pod, you know, like, or pick the best player from every faction and put them through the ringer. And otherwise, I almost think like the goal we're trying to reach like is unreachable.
Yeah, well, and here's the other issue too. If you're going to blow up the edition every 3 years, it is unreachable. That's the other problem.
Just
they're
make
going
a
to
fun game to play.
honestly,
and
like,
keep it from being
they
oppressive.
need to stop.
GW
They need to stop with these
GW
massive
loves
edition changes.
incredibly powerful things. They love things that are very, very strong.
So let communities fix it.
And well,
Go
like,
back to ITC stuff.
they
stuff
just
too.
they like they love their formations. They love their detachments. They like to layer as many rules over top of each other as possible.
I agree.
And just get rid of
So
that.
okay, so
Just like I mean like almost 100%.
pick
get
an army
rid of
rule.
it.
Every army gets a rule. They do their cool thing, and then their data slate. You know, each data slate can have its own ability. You know, like they do now. I like that.
Yeah.
And then those are your levers you play with,
Yeah.
right? This one's not good. We'll put out a data slate to make it a little more interesting and fun.
I would like to see abilities standardized more. Not in terms of just their location and what they're called in terms of like universality, but I would like to see them
We
not
don't
be.
need Morty.
I would like to see them less unique.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I would like to see more of them shared across. Faction rules can be one thing because faction rules do feel like they should be unique. But I think when it comes to
Well, they can only be so unique in a limited game.
that's true too.
Right, like-
but I think when it comes to
In a 5-round
there
game.
shouldn't be there in a game where you have like 800 different data slates. There shouldn't
I bet it's
be.
more than that.
It might be, but there shouldn't be
know.
800. There isn't really, but there are 800 different named abilities.
Sure.
And that's an issue. Those things need to be standardized, and they need to have more in common with each other.
So, I guess the argument for
it should be like 40. If
letting
that.
the community kind of regulate things. So, like when we did our stream game, right? You're like, all this stuff that I can do is too much, right? Remember when you built your list and you're like, I'm not going to do all this, and then during the game, you're like, I should have done it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't remember making the Warriors negative to hit on top of other things, but you self-regulate. I didn't ask you to, but you
Well,
self-regulate.
because I was trying to be conscious
Well,
that we're
no,
trying to put on a good show.
Absolutely. But then, had we played a couple games and you were kicking my ass with something like that, if I had been like, dude, just don't do this, there's no way you would have been like, no, I'm not playing unless I can just grind you into the.
But
you know what I mean?
But the thing is that
Yeah,
people do
that's-
that though. People like
I understand,
Magic the Gathering exists.
I understand, but even to an extent in Magic, right? If you do that to me every game and you don't care about like having a shared experience,
Yeah.
I just won't play you.
You
know what I mean?
I don't know. I do not believe
I'm not
in
saying
people
abandon
to,
rules.
Yeah, I know.
Abandon trying to balance.
I don't believe in people to self-regulate in any capacity, way, shape, or form. I don't.
Any?
No.
You don't believe in self-governance?
People won't do it. People,
That's an interesting conversation further.
Look.
I know where you're going at, but he's not wrong.
People will always look out for number one. Okay,
Well,
it is fun for me to absolutely wipe the floor with you, and I don't really care if you have fun with it or not, because it's fun for me.
Yeah,
and so there you go. That's the
my
thing.
issue with Blood Bowl.
Like,
no, I don't totally disagree with you. I don't.
So that's why these restrictions are crucial, because
I agree. I agree.
And I'm not saying that those people are common and exist. I'm saying that those people are the predominant majority.
You think they're the predominant?
Oh,
really?
By it, probably just an enormous margin. Like not even being remotely.
Okay, so like the people here tonight.
I don't think
What would you say?
I don't think they're the majority.
I wouldn't say predominant.
However,
I would say it's not even a feasible conversation.
They're a big enough portion, a big enough percentage to where it's an issue.
I'm not saying
I'd say 70%.
The amount
70.
I would say I'm not saying the people here.
Take the small.
I'm just trying to think of of our.
The extreme. Take the extreme cases of what he's talking about. For instance,
Thanks,
the
Matt.
absolute extreme cases of what he would be talking about are cheaters. Right, those are the people who are absolutely trying to do that.
And I by no
and
means
they
am
bend
saying
the rules
those
in
people
order.
don't exist.
Well, no, absolutely. But how many? And just take the small sample size of players we have come through here of 20. Right, how many cheaters have we come through? Have come through here? 2, 3, 4? Like,
well, we've had more than 20 people come through.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking about at a time.
We've had hundreds of different people.
No, he's talking about like in one sitting.
I'm talking about in a single
like if
sitting.
you have a room full of 20 people,
gotcha.
you might have 2, 3 cheaters, right?
That might be a little high.
Well, I know we've had 2
per 20.
There's 2 people for sure that I know are habitual cheaters. But then there's a guy you played that you had a negative experience. Like, he wasn't cheating.
No, but he was just an ass. Yeah.
So
he was just an ass while playing the game.
And we've had people getting arguments. Like, I get it. Like,
if you add, but I was
going to bring up nerd culture and why, because this does permeate nerd culture.
Well,
I absolutely agree.
So
League of Legends is a thing.
The aspect of what he's talking about is power fantasy too,
and that's also more.
So like some people play these games for different reasons. One of them is a power fantasy, right? To play a game, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. They just want to do powerful things.
I get it.
Within the scope of their game. There's some video games I played even do that, but
yeah, but a video game is different.
Well, sure, right, but it's a little different. But
a video game against AI, like you're playing a single player RPG, totally different.
But
totally
the concept's the same.
I get it, but like when there's a human on the other side of it, that like. When you play a 4-hour game of 40K and all you do is get pummeled the whole time, that's not fun.
Well, no, of course
right.
Not. I think, it's like that with any game. But
I would like to say that I could still have fun, because there are people that can. They're like, well, I don't care. You're doing cool stuff. I'm having fun.
Those people are liars.
They're liars.
I disagree.
They're dishonest.
I've had a lot of games where I had fun when I lost. Now there's games where I lost, and then there's games where I got absolutely.
Yeah. I've had fun. I'm not saying you can't have fun losing. I'm saying when you're absolutely getting torn open, like you're not enjoying yourself. You're definitely not enjoying yourself. No one enjoys losing like that.
Yeah, I would rather have a super close nail-biting loss than an overwhelming unfair victory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the difference. I think that's the difference right there. Me too.
I mean that genuinely. I really do.
Me too. I
think it depends on the opponent. I'll be totally honest.
Well, I mean, if there's someone,
if your opponent's cool about it, like when Jake beat me with Crumbleberry, right? When he Crumbleberried me, brutal, heart-wrenching loss, but like it was a great game.
It was a good game.
It is a cool memory, right? Like at no point was I like, man, I'm glad I lost that. But it's a story.
But the guy I was playing against, right? The guy you brought up, yep, he wanted.
You wouldn't have enjoyed losing a close game to that guy because he just didn't make the game enjoyable.
No, absolutely not. But also because he did that, I was trying to throttle him.
Sure, absolutely.
I was like, okay.
And his actions changed the whole
right,
social
exactly. He was
contract
he was kind of a dickhead to me, so I was like, all right, fine, if we're gonna play a game of Cutthroat, I can do it too. And then I returned it, and he didn't like that and quit. So
Yeah.
He quit.
he did.
What were you playing?
I was playing
40K?
Dark Angels. Yeah, 40K. Dark Angels versus.
He was like Death Watch with a knight. Right?
Yeah, he had
Was
knights.
this like a
and-
tournament game?
Yeah, this
or-
was a tournament game.
Wow.
Yeah,
But it
he
wasn't
did.
like it was.
He did. He did.
You played in tournaments where you're like, man, I forgot to do this. Like, go for it, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, he did
Yeah.
something. He
I've
did
also
something.
played against people that are just like, sorry, man, you
I-
picked up the dice.
I deep.
I never want to play those.
I
games.
deep struck some guys next to a knight. I didn't know that his knight could just shoot at dudes that came in off deep strike. So I was like, oh, if I knew that, I would have put him back here. And it's like, no, man, you already put him down there. So I'm like, all right, cool. We're gonna play like that. That's fine. So in his next turn, he charged with a unit and then performed attacks with that same unit.
That
and,
moment,
then he
watch
went.
You did your
This is-
Dark
And then
Angel
he
strike?
went. Well, no. But then he went. I'm gonna charge with this guy over here. I'm like, no, you're not. You already charged and attacked.
You do all your charges.
You do
at
all
one
your
time?
charges at once, and then you do your attacks. No. And he's like, what? What? Come on, man. I'm like, you wouldn't let me move my units back. I told you if you wanted to play it like this, I can do it. And he got mad and quit. I was like, all right. That's fine. Like it's I'm okay playing
you remember
either
80-14
game.
spam?
It's the Tony got Tony'd thing, man.
Yeah, I would much
That's-
rather play. I would much rather play a relaxed game than a game of Cutthroat, but I can do either, and that's fine too. So
I'm glad you got him back with it.
yeah, it felt good. I was laughing the whole time. He was very upset.
You need
I'm also
to
might
play
be like,
by
quit.
intent and like
Listen,
and just like be a good sport. Be like, oh hey, I have this rule and gotcha moments are never fun.
yeah, that's
because
that's what that was.
Anybody.
Yeah,
Well, so
okay.
listen, we're playing a game with plastic toys. Just be a bro.
But
Yeah.
at the same
Just
time,
be a bro.
the
That's what it
rules are
boils
there,
down to.
Like, okay, so that knight ability, like, it's in there for a reason.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And then, like nobody, you wouldn't do that had you known.
Right, exactly.
But at the same time, like, now he doesn't get to use an entire rule. Not that he was not being a jerk about
I
it.
do understand
And
that
then,
point
like-
of thing. I think that's bad rules design. I
I
think
agree.
I
I
think
agree.
your rules shouldn't be used because your opponent doesn't know
The rule
about
shouldn't
it.
be a bludgeon.
Right.
That's a problem with
It's the thing. The problem is that it's hard to have a reactionary rule and it not be utilized
Not
that
as a
way.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
but
like, when-
unless your opponent is fully educated in everything that you
Right.
can do, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to come up.
And you can't be in a casual 40K setting.
Yeah.
You're playing a casual
Sure.
League at Acropolis. You cannot
Sure.
be fully abreast on all
Sure,
of it.
and that's like I said, I'm fine playing either game.
Sure,
That's
sure.
if
As long
we're
as
gonna
you know.
right. If that's the way we're gonna play, that's the way we're gonna play.
That's the problem with the codex being behind a paywall. I could not agree more.
yeah. I don't.
Dude, Conquest, all the rules are free in Conquest. If you,
I don't-
if you
Conquest is fun.
if you tell me I'm going to play you in Wadroon on Thursday, I can go and I can read all your rules.
Yeah, I
before
don't.
Thursday.
I think. Yeah, I
can
think
do
that's
so
a.
for free.
It's. I mean, it's a good and bad thing with how the internet is and stuff. But like, it's. I think GW. I think ultimately
I just think
GW is
it's a
gonna have to.
design flaw philosophy to have. And like I always tell the story when I was playing that league game with Mike, and I was playing against his. He had the speeder bikes for.
For
Gold Boys, right?
Yeah, for
And like I asked
Custodes.
if he had something that if I don't remember the parameters, but he was like, "Do I have to tell you?" I was like, "You don't have to tell me, but I'll just go read it on the internet." You know what I mean? Like I'm not
Yeah.
just getting. It's same thing. Like
Yeah.
if I get X and X close, you can countercharge me.
Right.
I obviously don't want to do that. Right. So I agree. It's just bad rules design.
Yeah,
it's a
I
bad
think-
design space.
I think that's okay too. I think that's all right too. I think a lot of rules acting as deterrents are fine for an actual use.
Yeah, being
So,
something, the fear of
them
of
using that ability
something-
just
What
keeps you on
song
your
of
toes.
famine?
It's a quadroon thing. They sing.
What does it do though?
I think it gives you extra hits.
They what?
I think it lets you hit more. And gives you
Okay.
attacks.
Do you have any of your Wadroon yet?
No, I haven't ordered. I have the order sheet. I want to. You got to let me know what you need.
I have.
It's 10:15,
Okay, I
sir.
need to know.
Well, it's almost 10:15.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
We should probably sign off. I gotta go wash this finger.
What?
What?
You remember what I opened with?
Dear God, just I
My
can't.
finger smells?
I can't live like this.
Guys, we love you. We're sorry.
Huh?
Good game. All right, guys. Hey, we'll be back next week, and we will probably talk about the LVO stuff.
Yeah, we definitely.
I
will.
heard new army tomorrow. I don't know if that's true, but
New 40K army.
it's the spindle drones.
It's the Slanesh faction. Emperor's Children.
Oh, is it? That.
I'm guessing.
Love you guys.
I got so many mixed feelings about
Bye-bye.
those. Bye.
Make sure